What's up, and welcome to the Weekenders. This is the show where we talk about the biggest football games of the weekend, and first show in a long time where we only have one college football game happening this actual weekend. But college football is the talk of the town right now, and of course, we'll get to the NFL too a little later on. But we got ML to join the show again after a victorious run, not only in the game with Michigan, but also the Big Ten championship, which I don't think was in doubt for anybody outside of Iowa fans, and maybe even they probably took a lot. It probably took a lot for them to even believe that they were going to beat Michigan with that offense. So, ML, welcome back. As always, we're joined by Bobby, Lexi, and of course, I'm Max. Weekenders brought to you by Multiplicity Media. Let's get into it though. ML, man, welcome to the show, bro. Like, we know you want to shout from the rooftops about what Michigan has accomplished. Number one team. We got. Hey, I was saying that y'all were number one all year, but the committee finally came to the conclusion that I think we all got to, not only after the Michigan win, but the Georgia loss. So, Emma, how are you feeling right now?
Ecstatic. I actually think that my guys are ecstatic. Shout out to Lexi once again. Lexi, love the mask, by the way, with the pick in the background, 30-24.
Oh, yeah, that was a great feeling being on the field.
Absolutely, 100,000. That's, once again, just phenomenal. I will say this. Iowa fans are the nicest college football fans in the country. They were so gracious in like understanding of what they were going into in Indianapolis. They were so nice. They knew it was going to be a butt kick. And they were okay with that because that means they get to fire their offensive coordinator, which is what they really want to do. And you know what? Shout out to Coach Parker because he won the Broyles Award. Just got announced today. Unfortunately, Coach Sharon Moore, who was 4-0 this year, is a fill-in or is our interim head coach and beating third base day, as well as leading us past the win over James Franklin. It was just great. But congratulations to them. Iowa had the best defense in the country. In fact, Max, can I give you a quick stat for as we do the victory lap?
Of course.
And put on your Zooms, Bobby, for this one. Michigan played 3 of the top 4 defenses in the country in the last 4 weeks. Do you know why we didn't play the 4th? Because we're the 4th. We were one of the 4. We played Penn State, Ohio State, and Iowa. I saw a tweet from a Florida State guy saying Florida State quarterbacks touchdowns 5 in the last 3 games, and then Michigan's 1. First of all, please do not disrespect J.J. McCarthy ever again like that. We only needed to run the ball 32 straight times to beat James Franklin. And then they fired their OC. They fired their OC the next day. This is what we're doing with people. We're having some people lose their whole roster. Some people lose their OC. And the other thing, Max, is J.J. McCarthy also had the prettiest pass of the entire college football season. I've seen Penix put some – Penix is a beast, by the way. I know you guys are going to talk about that later. J.J.'s pass in the Ohio State game is the difference between him as a 5-star with Kyle McCord and anybody else in the Big Ten, and that's why he received the Quarterback of the Year award. I'm really, really happy right now. I know people were saying, hey, we saw the video. Didn't think our people were very happy about Alabama. Everybody's just in shock. It just is never – we saw history happen at about, 12:32 p.m., 11:32 for you, Bobby? We saw history. We're 13-0, a Power 5 team who went undefeated, didn't get into the playoff. So I'll pause there because I know we got to – but I am ecstatic. 3 years in a row going to the college football playoff. Alabama has not done that the last 3 years. Ohio State hasn't done it in the last 3 years. Clemson or Georgia. It's special, but we got to finish the deal. But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I mean,
great time to be a Wolverine.
No, Lexi, go. I was just gonna say you guys should definitely be proud, but Lexi, go ahead. I know you have thoughts too.
Yeah, no, I mean, ML said, these defenses are nothing to mess with. I knew going even into Iowa. Yeah, their offense is non-existent, but that defense is brutal. And you could just tell out there, and that's why. I know that a lot of people were upset and wanted to claim, Sharon should have got it. Don't get me wrong, Sharon definitely earned being, a candidate, but Phil Parker, holding Michigan to 26 points, and it's impressive, and so I just think going against these type of defenses and already being prepared in that sense is what is exciting to look forward to. But yeah, the 3-peat is it's pretty great. I'm having a good time.
Oh goodness, 3 times in the college football playoff in a row. I gotta say, I remember those days. They're all great until you get to the game. And look, y'all have a chance to reverse that. It's a Rose Bowl, #1 seed, weak Alabama. I hope you do it. I really do. But man, if y'all lose, trust me, I know it's coming for you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You gotta stand tall in that though. That's what everyone always says. It's like, I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna be talking shit even if I lose. I don't even care. It's like, but no, Alabama is gonna be a tough task. So, and Nick Saban is very experienced in this aspect. So, yeah, it's gonna be. They'll be up for the whole thing. So,
was it Baker, Kyler, and Jalen for you, or the reverse?
You got it correct. Yeah, Baker in 17 against Georgia in the Rose Bowl, Kyler in 18 against Alabama in the Orange Bowl, and then Jalen Hurts against Joe Burrow and that LSU team in 19. That was just a slaughterhouse.
That was just that team was a whole other level. You can't even take the
I gotta say that Georgia one, that was the only one I think we should have genuinely won, but the other ones we were just kind of, I don't know, set up to get mowed down. Michigan, not really that the case for them this year. Could argue that was kind of the case year 1. Year 2 could have done it, but lost to a pretty feisty TCU team. So we'll see how this goes. Alabama, and we'll get into that. Not quite the same tide we're used to.
Yeah, I just want to say that I think that I remember the days where, I mean, and this is going back to even, I mean, for people watching may not understand this reference, but like going back to like Spotify Live locker room days where like I was in rooms hearing people complain about, Jim Harbaugh in Michigan, like not like, getting to like conference championships or competing or even being in competition for conference championships. Like I remember that. You know what I'm saying? Like that was not long ago. So to go from that to, what you guys have accomplished, in the last 3 years is incredible. So definitely kudos to y'all. But I do want to move this conversation forward because, from one fan base that can celebrate to talk about another who's reeling from the decision of the committee, Florida State, being left out of the top 4 as an undefeated conference champion. I think we all on the last show, but myself, Lexi, and Bobby, we all thought that Florida State would get in with a win. Now, granted, you didn't have an impressive win against in the ACC championship against Louisville, which is kind of like messed up because the backup quarterback. You're on the third string quarterback. The backup quarterback probably would have played better, but he was in concussion protocol. So like, I don't know like if that was even considered. But anyway, Florida State was not one of the top 4 teams, and it seems like half and half split. Some people are like, yes, the committee got it right. This is the top 4 teams. There's half that are like Florida got hosed. There's 2% of people that for some reason are still arguing for Georgia to be a top 4 team. I don't understand that group at all. Like, do you think they're better than Washington, like Michigan, or Texas? Like, please tell me which one. But anyway,
no, they use the thing that Michigan's lost the last 2 years, so Georgia should just be in it. It's like that's not how this works.
Yeah, like I don't understand that group at all. But anyway, I'll open it up to the floor. Do you guys think the committee got it right, wrong? Anybody?
Well, I mean, I think it's one of the biggest travesties in college football. but honestly, it's also a sport that has been remarkably stupid since its inception. It never made any sense early on. How they just kind of gave championships away via the Associated Press. Never didn't make sense in the BCS era where you only had 2 teams, and doesn't make sense now with 4. It makes a little bit more sense with 12. Still not quite there. It's not perfect yet until you actually have that representation, but at least in that system, Florida State will get a chance to play for a national championship rather than you won't have a situation where someone does what they need to do, wins all their games. There's not a single sport in the world where you can win every single one of your games and not have a chance to play your way into a national championship or a title in general. It is insane. It's ridiculous. I thought that we'd never see this again with 4, because frankly, you had that situation with Auburn. I never thought we'd see, 5. Essentially, I thought the only way we'd get it would be 5 undefeated conference champions. Somehow, you only have 2, and you leave the other ones out because these losses are more valuable. Frankly, I think it should just be simple math. 13 is more than 12, and if you have a 1, that means that if you are below, automatically everyone else with a 0. If you're playing in a Power 5. I'm going to get off my soapbox right now, but it's an absolute just disservice to Florida State, that team that fought through a lot. Yeah, I know they don't look as great as Alabama on paper. I would also way rather see Michigan versus Alabama. That sounds like a way better game, a way more deserving team is Alabama. But a better team is Alabama, but the more deserving team is a team that won every single one of their games. And I'm tired of letting a committee of lizards decide who gets in and who doesn't get in. It's just dumb.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. I was just sick about it. I mean, obviously, yeah, okay. Anybody would rather play Florida State than Alabama. Like, let's be serious. But it's just heartbreaking, and I'd probably never want to watch college football again. I'm not gonna lie. I'd be so pissed. Like I am pissed for them. But you're right. It's all about the money. And I knew the second that they were like even chiming in that Bama could be there, I knew Florida State was going to get left out because there's no way they'd put in Bama and not be able to put in Texas. It's like they were stuck. That was the sacrifice they made because they're like, oh, well, we can't leave Texas out, but, Bama, whatever. It's a travesty. It's bullshit. I feel so sorry for the fans, the teams, Jordan Travis, like everybody, like they deserve better, but thankfully, moving forward, this type of thing, won't happen as much, but you're probably still going to even have like the cutoffs of like who you bring in, like towards like the 10, 11, 12 spot. But, undefeated conference championship will never be left out again. So that's one perk going forward.
Yeah, I think that's the major one, Lexi. I agree with you. Is the system was flawed from the jump. We have 5 Power 5 conferences and only 4 slots available. Like, it's cool to say, like, all right, we were going to have a Final Four, but they never, ever marketed it that way. What they did was market it as the college football playoff. And in fact, they did separate themselves from saying, hey, that's the NCAA. This is what they do. This is what we do in a committee. It was never a fair process to start out with. Do you feel bad for Florida State? Absolutely. It is a huge travesty when you look at the entire spectrum of sports, just like as Bobby explained. Unfortunately, every one of the NCAA football teams okayed the process in terms of being like moving forward with it. And we were so close. That's another thing. We were supposed to be in 12 this year. We were supposed to be in 12 this year. And it's because of the Oklahoma Texas situation. And they were going to go to the SEC, and then they backlogged that. And then the ACC commissioner, the Big Ten commissioner, don't get me started with Kevin Warren right now and Jim Delaney. And I believe it was the Pac-12. They're like, no. We can't go to 12 right now. And what's crazy, Pac-12 would have had their 2 teams in. The Big Ten would have had 3 teams in for sure. The ACC still would have only had their 1, but at least they would have had their 1. It's not fair. Process isn't fair. That's why it needs to be changed. I don't think you can argue with 12 anymore because you know what? I understand Division Division One or the FCS or subdivision, no one complains about their playoff system because they actually play the games to determine their champion. Division Two, Division Three, Mount Union, or Youngstown, like these teams play North Dakota State, South Dakota State to see who will win. This is what a playoff system should look like. You play to get in with the criteria, and let's honor the Power Five. So it's going to be better moving forward. I mean, heck, in our locker room days, remember we talked about like, hey, what should the new system be, and can we move it up? And they tried to move it up. I'm sad for Florida State. I'm sad for one of my best friends, Dustin Odom. His dad is my dad and stepmom. They're very, very close to Florida State. Very close. But this happened to them in 1993, Notre Dame. Let me give you another stat, Max. Notre Dame lost to Boston College the week after they lost to Florida State. Who's been the biggest mouthpiece for Florida State? Danny Cannell, talking about how he's a national champion, going all over this. The cheaters. Why didn't you remove them from the committee? He's been ridiculous. Guess what, Dan? You're only a national champion because they picked you against an 11-0 Nebraska. And when they played it on the field, Notre Dame beat you. And yet they still picked you to go because they said, oh, well, don't lose to Boston College. You're only a national champion because of that. You can't have it both ways, my brother, 30 years later. Ridiculous. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
He's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, I like SEC people much more than ACC people, Bobby, and I'm only saying that because you're over there now. The Alabama people, it's fine. Danny Cannell, get off your high horse immediately.
Yeah, I feel like the ACC. Danny Cannell's a different animal, but I feel like the ACC has been kind of unfairly beaten up this year. Like we can talk about like past years, but this year, like it's everyone seemed to. I mean, the ACC teams like beat a lot of their SEC opponents this year, but also like you just dealt with like QB injuries like that derailed good teams. Florida State, Duke would have had a better record if Riley Leonard stayed healthy. Like Clemson and UNC were formidable teams. Like I feel like ACC, like a lot of conferences, are you're top heavy, and it's not like the Pac-12. Pac-12's got it's pretty deep, but most conferences are top heavy. That's the same in the Big 12, the Big 10. Like I don't know why the ACC gets mistreated like everyone sucks, but it's whatever. I think it's tough. 12-team playoff I'm excited for. You're still going to have these conversations about, teams getting left out and everything. That's never going to end. We know that. I think we all know that. But what I'm looking forward to most about that system is at least like something like this. It doesn't seem like it would really happen in that format because you have enough spots for every Power 5 champion, every undefeated team. You're not going to have 12 undefeated teams. You're only going to have 3, maybe 4 at the most. So we won't see this again in a 12-team playoff, and I'm hoping that I'm looking forward to that number.
Yeah, and I mean hypothetically, if there's a 12-team playoff this year, OU would be the first team out. And frankly, while I would disagree with it because I think our resumes are better than Ole Miss, Penn State, and Missouri, I can't throw my hands up and be like, "Oh, we were robbed. We lost to Kansas and OSU." It's if you have 2 losses, you could have done stuff in the regular season to advance. What is Florida State supposed to do? Genuinely, not have Jordan Travis's leg get broken? It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
And not only that, but in addition to the ACC, they scheduled really well in the non-conference. You had a road game against Florida, and you had a game against LSU, who they absolutely trounced with a healthy Jaden Daniels. It goes against absolutely everything college football that they're allegedly looking for. And let's just be honest, it's closer to a beauty pageant and a dog show than actually a real sport at times. This is an invitational. It's not really a playoff.
Yeah, I think one of the best points I heard was like there was like this. I think people were talking about this last year with like TCU. It's like, oh, everyone wants to frame it as if you put this Florida State team against Alabama and Georgia, like, what would Georgia be favored by? What would Alabama be favored by? And I'm like, and a lot of people have said this, in the media, but I completely agree. Like, that's not really the point. Like, it's not about who Vegas thinks is the favorite. We saw a 9.5 point favorite get beat, in Vegas this weekend. Who cares what Vegas would be the favorite by? Like, the team. It's about, like, games have to matter, on field results have to matter, and it's not about, like, again, the best looking result, because we see how those type of things play out all the time. Yeah. All right. Quick kind of transfer portal madness. It seems like news every day is flying around about the transfer portal. We know that happens at the end of every college football season, but this year I think we saw some surprises. Was not expecting Kyle McCord to hit the portal, but I guess Michigan fans can hit their hat on that as well. Who else? I think I saw a report. I saw a report that Marvin Harrison Jr. was hitting the portal, but I
He
don't
just
think
needs to
that's
go
like.
to the league.
Yeah,
Like
I'm like,
no quarterback, no O line worth of shit. Go make some real money, bud. You'll
yeah,
be better off. I mean,
yeah,
yeah, but no, Ohio State having some of like the most players in the portal. That's the good stuff. But no,
yeah.
there's a lot. It's
It's a
chaos
lot.
right now. And I just saw a report that like Dante Moore and Michigan are back in talks again. It's like the irony if he would end up back up in Ann Arbor when that's where he was supposed to go from the get go. But yeah, it's crazy out there.
It's the wild, wild west. I want to ask you guys, who was the best transfer portal player, like, right now, out of all the announcements? Like, who's the prize, the biggest prize out there? I think Dante Moore's a good candidate.
Yeah, Dante Moore. I even say Dylan Gabriel is a good candidate for someone to snag up. There's a lot of quarterback talent, and you know what though? There's a lot of teams that need QBs, so at least like those players don't got to worry about still probably sitting at home after it's all said and done. But yeah, no, Dylan Gabriel's another one. Yeah, no, I'm like mind blanking right now, but there's like 1,100 or 1,400 in there. So.
There's a lot of players in the portal.
I'll stump for Dylan Gabriel. I think he is a great addition, especially if you need senior leadership early. Looking at you, Oregon. I know they're looking at getting Gabriel in town. He's a really good stopgap type of guy, and kind of one of those. And I think we'll see this going forward because in previous times, I mean, you could make a jump to the league as an undrafted free agent, make a little bit of money. Gabriel's about to get paid in the NIL deal. Like, he's going to get a couple mil to go quarterback someone like Ohio State or Oregon. So I got to say, I don't mind it. I like having good players stay in college football longer. Very cool with that. But overall, Gabriel's up there. There's some big names coming out of Texas A&M. If you need some defensive linemen, that sort of deal. So just saying, it's a madhouse out there, and coaches got to keep their promises, got to keep winning, got to get those guys playing time. They're out of there. So
I think it's top three. I think it's Dylan Gabriel's one, 42 touchdowns total. You cannot replicate that. And I understand, once again, shout out, by the way, congratulations. I don't think he was hired the last time I was on here by Mississippi State. But didn't your boy, Jeff, is it Libby?
Strong term calling him my boy, but our former offensive coordinator, Jeff Lebby, he head man at Mississippi State, so good for them.
Oklahoma scored 60 points. Was it 4 times this year?
I can't remember.
I think the most in college football. Crazy. Anyways, Dylan Gabriel went healthy, and I would contend if he would stay healthy, Oklahoma actually may be in this game or maybe in the college football playoff. I truly believe that. Go ahead, Lexi. I see you.
I was going to say, I'm super excited to see, I guess I shouldn't say excited, but if he comes to the Big Ten, I want to see how many touchdowns are thrown versus, people. No offense, that play more of a defense. You know what I'm saying? But
Handle
we'll
Texas pretty
see.
good.
He'll be here. I think he's going to be. I think he'd be a great fit for them. I am interested. My top three are Dylan Gabriel, Walter Nolan from A&M, another guy that Michigan's not going to get him just because we're too stacked on the defensive line, even next year in the interior. I do not want him coming to the Big Ten at all. He'd be perfect for USC. Perfect to help with their defense for sure because Lincoln Riley, he doesn't believe in, ABC, and then he just goes to E, skips to D. And for me, I like dual quarterbacks. That's why I have Cam Ward, Washington State transfer. A guy who's been experienced. Once again, I'm good with that. Kyle McCord, I think, has been in a very quarterback-friendly system. Ryan Day, if there's anything that he does, he will figure out you to play quarterback, and he will figure out NFL wide receivers. No one can doubt that. And that's why I give him the edge a little bit over Kyle McCord. Kyle McCord at Northwestern may do a good deal for him, but I think he needs to just get away from there. Miami should look into him as well.
I will say too, I'm super impressed that there's only like 3 players from Northwestern in the portal.
Unreal.
That guy coming in and kind of taking over. It's it's good. It's cool to see. Northwestern is, we all thought they were gonna hit a brick wall and crumble into nothing. But even players saying they're coming back and stuff, it's good for them. That would be huge if Kyle McCord went there. I think it'd be a little bit of a shocker. But I heard Cam Ward, Ohio State. I hope that doesn't happen.
I hope not.
I'll throw out one more name out there. DJU is on the market as well. I think he might be good for some teams.
Bobby.
Florida State and Louisville are looking into him apparently, but
Florida State, right?
Mississippi State as well, I believe, too. Along
DJU with Levy would be interesting.
Some guys just need to hit the LinkedIn portal, man. Just saying.
Nasty. 30% of transfers or people in the portal last year did not get a scholarship. That's something we got to monitor. 30%. Shout out to my man, Coach Carl Reed, former football coach at Lutheran North. Awesome guy on 24/7 Sports now. He very much monitors this all year, and it's because of some kids are making decisions of where they should be D2 or D3 football players, and unfortunately, they think that they can. The NIL process is we got to figure that part out. I cannot wait until it's after next athletic season. The COVID year stuff will be done, and then we can reset on all that stuff too. Dylan Gabriel is going to be 24 years old at the end of next season. 24 years old. He can't even go on dates with freshmen. Why is he in college?
Yeah, that's insane. I'm looking forward to this COVID thing to be over too. All right, so we're not gonna fully break down the CFP games yet because it's early. We got about a month to those even happen, so we're gonna save that until, of course, the week of those games for you guys. But we do have some. We do know the games, so let's just get our general thoughts out. Let's start with Alabama, Michigan, the Rose Bowl. Super excited for that. I haven't looked at ticket prices yet, but it's in Pasadena. And although I hate my first experience going to that venue sucked, I might have to thug it out to see the game because that's it's gonna be a really good one in the Rose Bowl. Michigan favored by 1.5. I think the opening line was 2. And over under is 45.5. Man, this matchup, I don't even know where to begin. I think this is going to be a very this is probably one of the best coaching matchups, in the sport of football since I don't know, Patriots Chiefs, because you had the Belichick, Andy Reid offense defense, games, but yeah, Harbaugh and Saban, it's hard to beat that. So what are you guys' thoughts so far about the game? Like, what are some things that you guys are looking forward to seeing?
Michigan winning. No, no, I mean, I think that the whole thing here is, like you said, it's just two teams where like the coaches are just football guys, and you're gonna have smash mouth football. You're gonna have I think overall it's gonna be a great game. But taking care of the ball, that is everything. That's what I want to see. Michigan doing is just taking care of the ball, no turnovers, because Saban and co are going to capitalize every single time. I'll say our team is more experienced, like whereas like the veteran and the age on the team, but like Saban is way more experienced in winning championships. So I'll just be interested to see how he's going to kind of attack like our defense, maybe stop the run, and what's going to be left open. But I think it's a great matchup. I'm not as nervous as I would be. I mean, it could be fine, famous last words, but as other years, like Bobby said earlier and alluded to, that this is just not like a typical Saban team. But that's never anything to look past, because I will never count out a Nick Saban team once they're in the playoffs.
There is nothing scarier in college football than Nick Saban with prep time. He
Yes.
is always absolutely terrifying to game plan against when he has a lot of time like that. Obviously, this team, like this Alabama team, when motivated against a high-level opponent like a Georgia, can really get stuff done. They have the size to go up against Michigan, unlike really any team they've faced other than, I guess, Ohio State. But let's be honest, those guys are soft. So it's going to be interesting to see. Last time we had a Michigan versus SEC battle, didn't go very well. A lot's changed since then, but it ultimately it's kind of like that last test for this Michigan program is, can you get over the creme de la creme of the SEC, the Georgias, the Alabamas? Can you beat those guys straight up? We'll see.
Has Michigan had to deal with a quarterback like Jalen Milroe this year? Like maybe Talua was the closest, but like
Yeah,
Milroe's
it's going to
probably
be the
more.
dual threat is a huge thing.
Yeah.
Marvin Harrison Jr. Got quoted after the game saying that this was he's like, I've never seen this type of coverage before. And granted, he still had 100 yards, had a touchdown, because this is what they do, drag routes. I've seen too many drag routes for Ohio State in my lifetime. Shout out to Don Brown. Thank you, sir. And he said, he's like, the way they bracketed coverage is like, he had to make some incredible catches. I love that Jesse Minner has a month, and hopefully we don't have any more distractions. That's another part of it. We did lose our quarterback coach and / helping out with play caller because of computers or whatever. The FBI like literally was on campus a year ago this time. Like, I don't want any distractions. Get the NCAA stuff. Like, we just want zero distractions, so everything can be about football. Saban with a month prep is crazy. I think he is 19-0 in Atlanta. 19-0. That means Chick-fil-A Classic, SEC chip. Like, once again, time to prep, right? So all of this tells us is that the coaching side absolutely favors Nick Saban. He's the best of all time. I'm not going to go into like matchups and things of that nature. Oh, hold on, guys. I have a 6:45 Zoom. I have to go. Thanks so much. It's my boy Connor calling me. Stallion. So I gotta go. We gotta go talk about the Alabama game.
All right.
Y'all take
You're
care.
so funny.
Thanks for stopping by the show, my email. All right.
No, like kind of what he was saying though, and like what you're saying is like, we've never faced a quarterback like Milroe, but Milroe really hasn't faced a defense like ours. And when he did face a really good defense in Texas, you know what I mean? So I think that pressure is going to be a huge thing, but it's going to be a battle. There's not going to be any easy way to win this game. I don't think, I think both teams will be extremely prepared.
I will say Milroe and Alabama have vastly improved since that Texas game. Because
has he faced a defense like that since though?
I would say Georgia's pretty good.
Yeah.
Whether or not they're as good as Michigan, I'm not sure. But they're pretty damn good.
Yeah, I think and to be honest, like I think Milroe's definitely shown a lot of growth since the Texas game. I think that's a fair point. I don't think he is necessarily like. I think he's a wild card, but not like. I think it's more of like, all right, Michigan might have to focus in on him, or like that's what I'm watching for. I guess the most is like Milroe versus like this Michigan defense. From the dual standpoint, I don't think he's like this like Johnny Manziel, Cam Newton, like mobile QB talent, type guy that is like that can completely break the game open for Alabama. But I do think that's like more of all right, we gotta, if you're on Michigan, we have to like watch this side. I think what Alabama has to do to prepare for Michigan is pretty clear. Stop the run, get off the field on third down if you're on the defense. Offensively, pray. I don't know, but I feel like that's an interesting wrinkle in the game from the Michigan defense versus Milroe standpoint. That's what I'm looking for, at least. Bobby, I don't know if you wanted to add anything.
No, not really. I think it's going to be really intriguing, though. He adds a certain look that they really haven't seen all season, and that's going to be very intriguing. So, very excited to see it.
Also, really quick, I just got like an alert. Nebraska is looking at Kyle McCord.
Oh god. Okay. They deserve each other.
He sounds like a Matt Rule guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Okay. So yeah, I think obviously we'll get more detail about the game when it gets closer to it, but yeah, I think the Rose Bowl is going to be probably definitely the game to watch. And following that, I'm surprised they made the Rose Bowl the earlier game. I guess they had to because of the 1 versus 4. But
it starts at the same time every year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
that's what I thought too.
To time out with the sunset.
I was like, don't you want the West Coast game to be the later one? But anyway. Anyway. Okay.
Part of the reason we're so far behind and getting a good playoff is because of this stupid sunset anyways on New Year's Day. So
yeah. Okay. Sugar Bowl on New Year's Day, also 8:45 Eastern kick. That's a late kick, man. But I guess in New Orleans it's an hour earlier. Whatever. Okay. Texas, Washington, in New Orleans, 64.5 is the over-under. Big difference from what we're getting from the Rose Bowl from an over-under standpoint. Washington proved themselves against Oregon, played some good defense. The game was kind of sloppy, but Michael Penix Jr. made plays. Texas, I don't think has faced an offense anything similar to Washington, but I feel like when that Oklahoma game, when they played Oklahoma, like that was like the track meet game that Texas kind of had to like deal with, and they lost obviously, but they are favored by 4 against Washington. Not far to travel for Texas. What are you guys watching for in this one?
First of all, my eye was literally twitching thinking about Texas in the playoff. I hate everything about this. Absolutely despise it. I don't know, Lexi. I'm not sure how you dealt with Ohio State all these years in it because it's awful watching your arch rival in this thing. But
It's terrible.
no, I mean, I think it's a really pretty solid matchup. We actually saw this game last year in the Alamo Bowl, believe it or not. Washington came out a winner there. So I think Texas, to me, this really falls on whether or not Quinn Ewers can avoid making mistakes. The games where he gets into trouble, all are those games where he turns the ball over a lot, like he did in Red River in the Cotton Bowl. He struggled a little bit before he got hurt against Houston. And to me, I think Texas, they feel like the better team on paper, but if the moment's too bright, if everything's a little too big, it could get hairy, because we've seen Washington capitalize off of big mistakes. They did it against Oregon State, really turned the tide there. I thought jumped on Oregon early and got capitalized off that. But really, I think it comes down to that essential battle: Texas's offense, Washington's defense, because we know Penix. Or really, well, I guess it's both quarterbacks. If they don't screw up, they'll be pretty good, I think. But it's about, which boils it down to simply, honestly, I just hate thinking about this so much that my brain isn't working. But yeah, it's both of these quarterbacks need to play discipline, play within themselves, not let the moment be too big.
Yeah, so I'm this is going to be like another great matchup. I loved like both sets of matchups this year in the playoffs, but I'm just excited to see kind of Quinn and co. And I know this kind of hurts value, but like just to really display some good football, and Washington's offense against Texas defense, I feel like it's going to be like a clash. It's going to be a really good game, and I'm looking forward to just seeing Michael Penix run things up and down the field as well. I think both teams are going to be great, but I'm just really excited about the matchup, and hopefully by then I can have a win and get to enjoy the game a little more instead of waiting for like the nighttime game. But yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think those are good thoughts. I think like again, these, like you said, Lexi, these are both have a chance to be two really good games. So we'll break those down, closer to the time. But right now, it's kind of interesting to see, as we know, what the matchups are. I will say one thing to look out for right now. Um, it'll be interesting to see if these favorites change. Like, what does Vegas think? Right now, they got Michigan favored by pretty much like a pick 'em, and Texas by 4. Watch out for those lines, ladies and gentlemen, if they move. That's always a fun thing to watch, like leading up to a game, especially like when it's as far out as this one, as these two. So definitely something to look out for. All right, let's talk about the two biggest NFL games of the weekend. Let's start with in the AFC. It seems like quarterbacks are dwindling down in the AFC, and the AFC playoffs may be unwatchable. Hopefully not, though. Sunday, 4:25, we got Buffalo Bills at 6-6, hanging on to their spot in the playoffs at the Kansas City Chiefs, 8-4, who just lost to the Packers, to everyone's surprise. The Chiefs are still favored by 2.5. Over under is 47.5. Guys, the AFC playoffs, it's not looking too good. Trevor Lawrence, high ankle sprain. We don't know how long he's going to be out. Hopefully he make it back by the playoffs, but the Jaguars got to hold on. The Colts are doing well without Anthony Richardson. Texans are fun. They got a rookie QB. Browns don't have their quarterback. Who else? Dolphins are good, I guess. Bills are hanging in there. Chargers, Broncos. A lot of mid in the AFC, and the Chiefs are trying to hang on to the ring as the top team, but they got no receivers, and they're starting to have some surprising losses come up. So the AFC, like, how are you guys feeling about like teams that can get through it? Like, what are your thoughts? Are you taking the Chiefs or the field to make it out of the AFC?
I don't. The Chiefs just stink. Like it's not like I can be like, yeah, I'm gonna take them like I would every other year. Like this is like another instance where like this is not the same Chiefs team. I don't know what's going on with them, but I yeah, it's just it's all bad. There's like you said, there's a lot of mid. So I think these next few weeks is like going to be the race to see who can like escape the sinking ship of what seems to be the AFC this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just not the same. I think ultimately the whole, we don't have any money to play any wide receivers or pay any wide receivers. It's caught up to them. Their reload just hasn't hit. Travis Kelce is getting absolutely just mobbed. He's not quite the impact player that he's been in the past because of that, I think. And ultimately, I think it's just Mahomes can only do so much. The offense just kind of breaks down in ways that it didn't in the past. And because of that, you have a good quarterback, but what weapons does he have? He can't do anything. He is much like, it's like a steak with ketchup on it. You have the steak, but if you have, I don't know. I just wanted to make a Patrick Mahomes and his bad steak opinions. Yeah, it's just bad. It's bad.
It's the AFC just has like too much, like every team has like a big missing piece, and it's just like, what is going on? Like you go down the teams, and I'm gonna pull up like ESPN's. They have a list of like teams that are most likely to make the playoffs in the AFC and NFC, of course. But I mean, look at the teams. Okay, the Dolphins look like a complete team so far. They're good. I think the Dolphins is more of like, okay, you got to show me that you can do it type thing. But so far they're good. The Ravens are missing Mark Andrews. That's a big loss for them. They don't have much to throw to aside of that, and Lamar has to do more. So the Ravens have a lot to prove. The Chiefs don't have good receivers. The Jaguars don't have Trevor Lawrence. You know, the Texans just lost Tank Dell. The Browns don't have a quarterback. The Colts don't have a quarterback. The Steelers don't have a quarterback. The Bills and Chargers are hanging on to their playoff chances by a thread. So I don't know. I think to answer the question, Chiefs of the field, like I want to say field, but the field's got question marks as well. So who knows at this point?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people
Yeah.
say too, like, oh, is Patrick Mahomes like overrated or whatever? It's like he literally has nothing to work with right now. Like, no, he's not overrated. He's still one of the greatest. It's just a little hiccup in the timeline.
I saw a Chiefs fan like begging for Kadarius Toney to like get back out there on the field, and I'm like, okay, if you're at the point where like you're like, oh my gosh, we need Kadarius Toney to save our season, then like you're down so bad,
Tremendously bad. like that is really just horrible.
Yeah, horrible place to be. All right, let's talk about the Bills for a second. ESPN's their according to their stats, their analytics has the Bills with a 21% chance to make the playoffs. So with that in mind, is this a must-win for Buffalo?
I mean, I'd say, yeah, for sure.
I mean, I think they're still a solid team, but at some point you got to start winning because of math.
Yeah.
Like, this is they don't have a committee to be like, well, the Bills are still really good. Josh Allen. You can't just. They have to play their way in, and they didn't take care of business earlier, and now you have to find a way to beat the Chiefs on the road. Good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so underwhelming, I feel like Josh Allen is like so good, but he's just been so bad this season, so Yeah, they've got to win this game. They absolutely have to. I just feel like things are going to start crumbling even more. I already feel like there's like a lot of tension, going on with that with them. And I mean, hell, there's a lot of tension in the Chiefs too because they're stinking it up. So yeah, it's like the game of like who's going to fall on their face first.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of play here. The Bills and Chiefs have been sort of rivals. The Chiefs have a lot to play for. They're trying to stay, keep that number one seed thing going on. The Bills are obviously fighting for their playoff lives, dealing with so many questions about their season. So I think it definitely is a must win for all those reasons, including, of course, the playoff. They're fighting for their playoff lives, um, and yeah, Josh Allen. Thankfully for the Bills, like this is a familiar place for the Bills and for Josh Allen. According to Stat News, Josh Allen doing pretty well in Arrowhead. He's got a passer rating of 126, 644 yards, 6 touchdowns, no picks on the road in Kansas City, 63% completion percentage. So, I mean, he plays well there. I think the Bills are going to need a heroic effort from Josh Allen to be able to pull this game and stay in the playoff race. And both of those games were Bills wins, by the way. So the Bills are not like, foreign. It's not a foreign concept for them to win an Arrowhead. They've done it before. Not in the playoffs, but in the regular season. All right, so predictions. We all got the Bills. It looks like we're having faith that they'll get this when they need and stay alive in the playoff race. All right, the other big game in the NFL this weekend is Eagles Cowboys Part 2. Cowboys lost in Philadelphia a few weeks ago. Definitely a winnable game for them. But the Eagles will try to stay number one in the NFC East. They're 10-2. Cowboys are 9-3. Obviously, the Cowboys winning this game will go a long way. They're favored by 3.5. Over under 52.5. Who's the MVP right now? Jalen Hurts or Dak? Some say Brock Purdy, but I'm leaving it in between the. I'm leaving it between Hurts and Dak for this conversation.
The Brock Purdy
please do
hot
that.
tweet. It's tricky because I don't know. I feel like Hurts, weirdly enough, like his stats are really padded by the whole brotherly shove thing. I think that the team uses him so well, and in a way, if you put, I don't know who their second is their second string still Gardner Minshew, or did he move on?
Gardner Minshew is actually starting for the Colts because of Anthony Richardson.
Oh, that's right. Again, ball not knower. I
It's
apologize.
bounced around so much.
Ball not knower over here. I apologize. Whoever's backing up Jalen can't do what Jalen does, and because of that, I think he's probably the MVP. If you threw in who is it, Max?
Marcus Mariota.
Yeah, no, but Mariota. No. Could you imagine trying to push Marcus Mariota? You'd have better luck just picking him up and throwing him. Like just have one of have Lane Johnson or one of the Kelseys or Travis Jason Kelce just chuck him on in. That's a little bit easier, but and because of that, I think Jalen is MVP right now. What Dak has been doing is really impressive, but let's be honest, a lot of that is CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah. I say right now, I'm going to say Dak. And I know that it's like, he has been killing it. I will give him his flowers. Like that he has been doing well this season, but I'm probably not going to say the same thing, like come end of the season, come like playoff time. But I agree that Philly just knows how to use Jalen so well that I was for a long time thinking the Eagles were like the best team in the league, but like they've gotten a little bit of exposed in a couple of these games, even ones that they've ended up winning. So it's going to be interesting to say. But I would say right now, as much as it pains me to say, like Dak is playing some great football, and the Cowboys are unfortunately kind of firing on all cylinders right now. So this should be a good game, though. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I would probably say Dak because I feel like for so long, like Dak was relying on Ezekiel Elliott and / Tony Pollard and their great offensive line, and I feel like um, while the defense has done a great job and made it easier for Dak this year than he's had in past years, I feel like Dak is definitely, with the exception of the 49ers game, which was horrific. Like, other than that, he's done what the Cowboys have needed him to do week in and week out. He's, you know, been more of a driver of that offense this year. And if there's any year to give Dak Prescott the MVP, and you don't think Jalen Hurts deserves it, the Cowboys end up with the first and second best record in the NFL, like, sure, why not give it to, Dak, because he definitely is playing well this year. So that's gonna be my choice. But yeah, I think as far as the game, we all have voiced our doubts about the Cowboys, and probably rightly so, based on their history. But if they win this game, which is a big game for them, because again, it puts them at 10-3, right on par with the Eagles. I don't know if it would put them in first or not. I don't have time to do tiebreaker math in my head right now, but it puts them in good position, to be tied with the Eagles at least record-wise, and then we'll see what they do from there. They are favored in this game, so this is not like a underdog story or anything of that nature. Like, this is a chance for Dallas to take care of business at home and possibly be the number one team in the NFC East and the number one seed in the NFC. So if they win this game, does this change your mind about the Cowboys, about them not being able to grab the brass ring when it's there? Like, what does this do for your Cowboys faith if they win? I'll give you my answer right now. No, because you have to do it in the playoffs. Okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
No,
you gotta keep doing it, not just like a random game like in an NFL rivalry like that you play, all these times. But no, yeah, you got. Of course, yeah, I'll be like, oh, that was a good win. I will give them that. I'll say that if they do come out with this, but no, you got to do more than that.
When was the last time they were in the NFC Championship? Was it in the 90s? Has it been since Y2K? I'm legitimately do not remember. I need to look that up. And that's ultimately the biggest thing with the Cowboys is they will always find a way to let everybody down except for the people who hate on them, which is I, for one, am one of those folks. So yeah, let's see. Last NFC championship appearance.
I thought it was 2015.
Did they really make it that far in 15?
1996.
96?
What?
That was.
So it was the game before the NFC Championship when they beat us, but then lost to the Packers.
So let's get this straight. They have not made the NFC Championship since Barry Switzer was the head coach. That's okay. Yeah. No, this one game against the Eagles will not. If they won it, which I don't think they will, won't change that. Make it to the NFC Championship. Come on, man. Come on. It's a joke.
Yeah. No NFC Championship appearance since '96. The divisional game, I think, was more recent than that. I think it was 2015, like you said, against the Packers. 2016 against the Packers was the last time they were in the divisional round. But, don't think this proves anything, but I think this is a good step forward. 100% if they win the game. All right. I'm taking the Eagles to win because uh, this isn't even like a Cowboys hate like take. I have been impressed with the exception of last week where the Niners came in and embarrassed the Eagles. And to me, that could happen. I feel like that was probably more of what I'm about to talk about, which is the Eagles have pulled so many games out that I feel like in this situation against a team like the Cowboys, that tends to not that tends to cost themselves games instead of takes them over. And they've gotten a lot of credit for beating bad teams. I feel like the Eagles. I have more faith in the Eagles to pull this out because of the character of their team. I think the Niners happened to them because the Niners are a really great team, and they might possibly be just flat out better than the Eagles. But I think after winning a lot of close games, you play a team like the 49ers, and then you just get shell shocked. That happens in football. So I'm not taking that much away from the Eagles, but I'm picking them in this game because I feel like I trust them more in closer games, and I think this game will be close.
Yeah. I believe in the power of being pissed off, which is exactly what happened with the San Francisco 49ers last week.
Oh yeah.
Last time they played in Philly, they just had the worst hand ever dealt to them overall, with everyone getting hurt, and it was a disaster of a NFC championship. And you can guarantee you they thought about those Philly fans all off season long. They had this one circled. They're ready to go back there, and Lord, did they show up. Philly, frankly, they weren't ready for that. I think they're going to be ready for the Cowboys because now they're pissed off. They're ready to bounce back. They got embarrassed last weekend. I think they show up to Dallas with some really solid resolve here and get the win on the road.
Yeah, I mean, I Loki, I'd much rather prefer that. I feel like Dallas is just playing so well right now. I think this is going to be a really great game, though. Like, I don't think it's going to be like a blowout on any front, but at Cowboys, this divisional game, like you said, Dak's playing hot right now. I don't want to pick them, but I'm doing it.
I love
It's hard
that.
for me to say this.
Yeah, no, I love it. That's fair. All right, yeah, definitely should be a good one. We'll see how that one shakes out again. Cowboys 3.5 point favorite over under 52.5. Should be a really, really good game. All right, we're gonna rapid fire picks next, or now. The only college game of the weekend, Army at Navy. I definitely put this down here as a joke, but I feel like this is always a good game. And if you're a crazy college football person, you'll be watching this, treasured rivalry that goes back, many, many decades against the Army and the Navy. I might turn it on. Actually, it actually might be a good game between two 5-6 teams in our armed forces. You know what? I'm taking the Navy, and I'll tell you why. I was in Hawaii this past weekend, and Pearl Harbor, Honolulu. So shout out to the Navy. I'm taking those guys to get the W over Army in Foxborough. I think it's where the game is.
It's in Foxborough, correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a tough one. Always, every year. Sometimes there are years where Navy's just significantly better than Army, and there was like a stretch where Army was really good, but now they're not. Now they're both bad. I'm going to trend with the Army here, mainly because, frankly, I kind of like their uniforms a little bit better. I think the gold's a cool touch this year. Navy does have, I think theirs is themed off of submarines, which is kind of neat. But I like the gold look here, so I'm going to go with the Army.
Yeah, this is always a great game. Such a great, rich tradition. Always great uniforms though. Like they always give that special, like, tweak to them. So I'm going to take Army. I think both these teams, which are probably going to be low scoring, but I'm giving Army the slight edge here. Yes, I do like their uniforms a little more than Navy, but yeah, I think just running the ball is going to be the best thing, and I think Army's going to do that better. That's going to win the game.
All right. This tilt is significant in the NFC South / the Who Wants to Win It contest going on in the NFL right now in that division. Baker and the Bucks facing the Falcons. I'm taking Atlanta, man. They find weird ways to win, not by throwing it to Kyle Pitts, but other things. Yeah, I like Atlanta.
I am going with Baker Mayfield. Just found out that he's going to be about to be a father, which is really good. The Big 12 is getting a new sibling, which is Baker Mayfield's kid. So as the daddy of a conference, he now is a father of a you get what I'm saying. Baker finds a way to get this pivotal divisional win.
I'm gonna go with that. I was gonna take Atlanta, but you're right. Having a new kid, he's gonna be playing just so it's gonna be good. Give me Tampa Bay.
All right. Yeah, definitely should be a good one. Okay, Rams at Ravens. Ravens kind of can win this game and put themselves in a good position to, maybe overtake the Chiefs at the top of the AFC if they lose to the Bills. And the Rams, I believe, still have a chance to make the playoffs. They're still in it. Big game in Baltimore. The Rams are currently second in the NFC West, so not out of the woods yet at 6-6. I'm taking I'm taking Baltimore. I don't know.
Yeah, me too. I got Baltimore. I think I love Lamar, and Rams are just so middle of the pack. I think they're like 500 right now this year.
Literally,
so give me your Ravens at home.
Earlier this year, I faded the Seahawks because they had a cross-country trek to Baltimore, and that was the right decision because that distance and that time change, especially for a 12 p.m. 12 o'clock Central kickoff, is brutal. I'm going with the Ravens once again. This is just a bad situation for folks having to travel out there that far.
Yeah. Well, the Rams have a 43% chance to make the playoffs according to the ESPN analytics. So a win for them would go a long way if they can pull it off. They still have a really good chance to make it. All right, Seahawks at 49ers. Seahawks having to go into San Francisco off a big emotional win. Seahawks are sitting at 27% of a chance to make the playoffs. The Niners obviously are kind of vying for that top spot in the NFC record-wise. I think the Niners pull this one out. Just too many weapons, too good of a defense. They're going to force Geno Smith to make a bunch of mistakes. They're going to be watching what happens with Dallas and the Eagles. And if they win this game, they're probably going to be the number one seed because they've beaten Philadelphia and Dallas. So Eagles lose, that puts them at the top spot. So they're definitely going to want to take care of business against Seattle. So I got the Niners.
Yeah, the Niners are playing really great football right now. They're focused. They're on a mission. Injuries and just kind of like a lack of, playing how they should be. Seahawks have just kind of been in a downward spiral a little bit. I know, like I said, to the injuries, but yeah, the 49ers are fierce and this is a home game for them. So taking San Fran.
Yeah. Look, ever since the 49ers had that really rough 3-game losing streak. They've gotten their swagger back. They're on a 4-game winning streak right now. And one of those wins was actually this game on Thanksgiving in Seattle. Niners walked in to the Seahawks house, ate their turkey, kissed their mom on the mouth, and walked on out. So I'm telling you, this one in Philly, yeah, this one's not. This one's not going to be, or in Philly. What am I saying? In San Fran, it's not going to be pretty. So give me the Niners big.
Yeah. All right. Last but not least, we have Broncos at Chargers. Both teams are 6-6. Both teams vying. Oh, I'm sorry. The Broncos are 6-6. The Chargers are 5-7. So both teams definitely, need to keep winning in order to get into the playoffs. The Chargers need to win a little bit more, obviously with the 5-7 record. Home game, divisional opponent. This is going to be a big game for them. Broncos fell short against the Texans, made a lot of mistakes in that game. I'm not sure now that Russell Wilson has sort of figured things out. I'm not really sure I like the coaching matchup of Sean Payton versus Dennis or whatever I forget his name because he's going to be fired.
Staley.
Brandon Staley, thank you. Don't love the matchup. I think coming off that loss, I think Sean Payton and the Broncos are going to find a way to torch the Chargers defense. I love the Chargers, but I think the Broncos are going to take this win. And the Broncos take the win, and it'll be sad because I'll be at that game, and there's going to be a lot of sad Chargers fans. So, yeah, give me the Broncos.
Yeah, I like Denver here. They've been playing some good ball. Chargers are just kind of like in the same thing as like the Bills, just super underwhelming, coming up short when they really, need to take this win. Doesn't seem like it's serious, and Staley is just not a good coach. So the quicker they get rid of him and get rid of him, the quicker they can move forward. But give me Sean Payton and Russell Wilson in this one.
Yeah, I'm rolling with Denver with a bounce back win here in Los Angeles. Sea of Orange effect there. Broncos.
All right. Now let's go down to lock of the week. Last week, we all took home a win. Lexi locked Texas. Easy dub for her. Got 2 points. Bobby, under half point for Iowa. Crazy call.
Can we talk about how Iowa to not score is worth the, no offense, Lexi, worth the same as Texas straight up when they're a 15-point favorite?
I knew Bobby was not going to let this go. So Bobby, here's what I'll do for you.
Okay.
Here's what I do for you.
That is a good bet.
That is
they both would have hit. Go ahead.
What's up? No, you're good. You're good. It was a very bold pick. I will say that we could have seen it coming, but a shutout in the conference championship game is a bold pick. So I will give you an additional points for that pick. So it'll take Bobby would have got the normal 2 points to move him up to 13. I'll give you an extra point, so he got 3 points for the Iowa under a half point pick. So that'll bring your total up to 14. And yeah, there you go. I'll that you made a good argument that was a very, 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 very bold prediction. And for that to actually hit is crazy.
So you're saying I scored more points than Iowa did?
Yes.
We all did.
There you go.
We all
Even
did.
I can do it.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we all did. Florida State. Yeah. And then my lock was Florida State, and they each had a win over Louisville. So the scoreboard looks like Lexi's still up ahead big with 18. Bobby's now got 14. I got 13. So we're pretty much still checking up to Lexi, but good all coming off wins last week, which is pretty good. All right. A lock of the week for this week. I'll take Eagles plus 3.5. I think the Eagles can win outright, but I think that even if the Cowboys do win, this is going to be another close game, very similar to the one they played in Philadelphia. I don't think this is a one-sided game whatsoever. I think this is going to go down to the wire. And again, I think Eagles plus 3.5 is a great call because you're expecting a close game. It could be a 3-point game, which will cover the spread, or the Eagles, could win outright, which is all on the table. So I love Eagles plus 3.5. Maybe my favorite lock of the year.
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
It is.
I'm gonna go with the Buffalo Bills plus 2.5 at Arrowhead. Quite simply, I think both of these teams kind of struggling right now, but Buffalo is truly, absolutely desperate, and I think they find a way to get a win.
I'm going to do the Buffalo Chiefs over. It's currently set at 47.5. I think both offense. I mean, I know we always say I said that Patrick Mahomes doesn't really have anything, but somehow they still score some points. So I think Josh Allen will go off as well, needing to win this game over 47.5.
Yeah, I think that's a great pick too. I mean, yeah, those two offenses. It's gonna be hard to. I mean, those two teams play great defense too, so I think it's tricky. But 47.5, those two teams, they normally score a lot of points on each other. So good stuff. Great locks, folks. We'll do this CFP. We couldn't include it in this pool, but obviously later on when the games are closer, we'll include those in the locks for whatever week those games happen. But great stuff, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. As always, like, subscribe, comment, share our podcast with your friends and your family. And we will see you next time right here on the Weekenders. Peace.
See ya.